Do you want to know how to draw a body construction for your character? Then you are in the right video. You are in my free anatomy course and now you will learn how to draw the human figure. Drawing a basic skeleton for your characters is something that can be very useful both when drawing from a reference and when drawing from imagination. Having a foundation like this will make things much easier for drawing other more complex anatomical shapes later. And unless you are already an experienced professional, starting to draw the human body without any kind of foundation can easily cause your body to become disproportionate. This occurs mainly because we can experience in our minds a phenomenon called tunnel vision. This happens when we concentrate on the small details and ignore the whole image, making big mistakes in the general proportions as a result. So I don't advise you to skip this lesson. Okay, let's start. To make this tutorial a little more interesting, we are going to draw each skeleton above other characters, so you will see how everything fits directly. In this example, we are going to draw the skeleton of a man. And what is the definition of a man? Well, clearly it could only be the great Cape Baldy. Let's start by drawing the head. To draw the head, I will use a circle and I will also add the shape of the jaw, like this. Now, by drawing a vertical and a horizontal line, we can indicate the angle at which this head is looking, in this case, straight ahead. Now we'll draw the spine as a straight line when the figure is viewed from the front. From there, we draw a line for the shoulders located a little below the head and another one for the edge of the pelvis. Note that since in this case I am drawing a male skeleton, the line of the shoulders will be wider than the line of the hips. As a general rule, the wider the shoulders are compared to the hips, the more masculine your character will appear. This is one of the reasons why capes are so popular on superheroes, because they accentuate the shoulder length of a true alpha male. Yeah. To draw the ribcage, we will draw an egg in which we can place two horizontal arches that simulate the ribs. Good. Now, to draw the pelvis, we can draw a bucket with a small tilt forward. The end of this bucket will match the end of the fourth head if we start measuring things head by head. To draw the legs, we are going to draw a pair of wires that will simulate the bones of the legs and other shorter ones for the feet, like this. Once we have this, we are going to indicate where the base of the knees are by using some ellipses. But where is the base of the knees? Simple, it is just half of the total length of the leg. Now it is the turn of the arms. We draw some circles right where the shoulders are located and we do the same thing as we did with the legs. On this occasion, the elbows will be placed approximately at the level of the ribs, while the hands, which I like to draw as rectangles, will end at the top of the thigh. And voila, we already have a basic skeleton seen from the front. Next, I am going to draw another example, but this time it will be the skeleton of a woman. I present to you Ganyu. This goat is a character from a Chinese video game called Genshin Impact, a game known for being the source of inspiration in which Nintendo created Zelda Breath of the Wild overall style and gameplay. Let's get started. Again, we draw the head first. We draw a line for the spine and we place the line of the shoulders and the line of the hips. For women, the hip line will be slightly wider than the shoulder line. Do you see it? An interesting fact about this is that some people believe that children are able of noticing these differences between men and women from an early age, and because of children's simplification way of drawing, they usually represent the body of the father by a rectangle and the body of the mother by a triangle. This is because they notice that mother hips are wider than father hips. Interesting, right? Well, let's continue. Now we just have to keep drawing the legs and the arms as we did in the previous example. And that's it. Let's move on and make another sketch, but this time on a side view. In this case, we will analyze the skeleton of an alien, Son Goku. Again, we draw the head with the jaw and everything, and we made a line for the spine. In this case, being on the side view, the spine will look curvy. Some beginners make the mistake of drawing the back totally straight on the side view. The spine has an S-shaped curve that gives the body a more dynamic look, so it will be a shame not to take advantage of this. Once the shape of the spine has been drawn, we will draw the line for the shoulders and the hips, and the edge of the ribcage following the inclination of the spine. To draw the pelvis in its lateral view, this time we are going to draw another egg but inclined to the opposite direction of the ribcage. Now we only have to draw again the legs and the same with the arms. You already know that this is the easier part of all, right? Done. You just have learned how to make a basic foundation for your drawings, but we are going to increase the level a little more. I do not want this video to be so simple. In this case, we are going to analyze this sketch by Rafael Sanzio, one of the greatest painters of the Renaissance. This is a sketch he made of Michelangelo's famous David seen from behind. The truth is that this angle is great for me, since that way you don't see any pickles and I am less likely to get demonetized by YouTube. Let's start right away. What I want you to do now is to draw a straight line over the area in which we will place our figure. Next, we divide this line into 8 equal parts, which are the heads that the perfect person measures according to this old Greek canon. You can do these divisions using a ruler or by freehand, but it doesn't really matter if you deviate a few millimeters up or down. Relax, no one is going to take a ruler and measure your drawings looking for tiny mistakes and laugh at you. And if he does, the problem is more his than yours. Perfect. By the way, in this video we are not going to enter too deeply into the theory about this perfect 8-headed canon. For that, you already have my previous video where I analyzed the Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci and compare it with the measurement of ordinary folk. I recommend that you take a look at that video when finishing this one if you haven't done it yet. That way you'll live with a very good understanding of the foundation of the human figure. Now we are going to start by filling in the first section with a simple drawing of the head. For the spine, in this slightly 3/4 view, we will draw a slightly curved line. From here, we draw a line for the shoulders, and another one for the edge of the pelvis. Notice that this time we are drawing a figure whose shoulders and hips appear slightly inclined. For this reason, the angle that the line of the shoulders and the line of the hips should follow must be opposite to maintain balance. Again, we do the ribcage drawing an egg, and we do the same for the pelvis. Let me remind you for a moment that the height of the head to approximately the end of the pelvis is the same as from the end of the pelvis to the base of the feet. Don't accidentally draw short legs, okay? And now we just have to add the limbs again. Finished.
Okay man, I have already learned how to make the basic skeleton, but now what?
Oh, it is you. Also, let me introduce you to my students. This is my robot assistant, Also. From time to time, he will remind me of some of the questions that I should answer in my tutorials. Well, once we have made the basic skeleton, what you should do to continue developing your drawing is to add more mass. Imagine that you are a sculptor and that this is your wire skeleton. Then, the next step you should do as a sculptor is to start adding blocks of clay to fill it. But you don't need to worry about positioning each of the different muscles of the body just yet. Think about the general shape. Details will come later. Like this. With this thing right here, we already have all the necessary ingredients for a successful human figure drawing. Now it is up to you to decide the level of detail you want to achieve. In case you want to advance this drawing even further, what we'll need to do is to draw all the muscles individually, or at least their contours, as I am doing right now. It is important that you also notice how all these contours are creating a symmetry throughout the body, which generates a more dynamic drawing. I am not limiting myself to simply drawing a few kinds of Cs for each limb, but I am considering the main volumes of the muscle and letting them overlap each other. Look at this example. If we start drawing bracket by bracket, we will achieve an unnatural and rigid result. But if we start drawing curves that overlap each other, we will lead the eye to flow more naturally through the whole figure, like water in the river. All of this might seem a bit crazy at first, especially if you draw from imagination, but trust me, you will be able to do this if you learn the main muscles of the human body. You'll make all the muscles fit together like the pieces of a puzzle. And in case you are wondering, yes, I am going to show you all these muscles in the future. Perfect. A detail that I had forgotten to mention is the reason why when I was drawing the wires for the legs, I drew this L shape right here. This has a reason. The reason why I have drawn them like this is because if we look at the bones that are in the area of the hips, we will see how 2 points stand out. These points are the greater trochanter and the corners of the pelvis. The reason why this is important is because they are responsible for creating the contour of the hips, like in this. Well, finally, you have already learned how to draw a basic foundation for your characters. You can draw many of these figures at different angles to practice. You will see how, over time, they'll come out without thinking. Remember that these skeletons must be made with a soft and fine stroke, so that later they are easy to erase. In this video I have drawn the skeleton with a strong line, but only so that you can see them well. Another tip that I give you is that you practice taking photographs or drawing of characters that you like and try to emulate their inner foundation. Or in case you don't want to spoil the image by painting over it, just try to replicate the pose on another paper. Doing this will help you build more confidence, especially in difficult poses. To all this, you must know that there is no unique way of drawing the simplified human body. Perhaps to draw the pelvis, it is much easier for you to draw a circle or a square, or maybe you prefer to connect the entire torso using the shape of a bean. Experiment with your sketches and find the shape that best suits you or your style. You don't even have to marry to a single way of building the figure. I draw it in one way or another as I please. Well, congratulations, you have completed this video successfully. In my next tutorial, we are going to learn about each muscle in the body, starting with the neck. So if you really want to be a pro at drawing, don't miss out on this channel. See you in the next video. Bye.